I love myself so much, I would give up my family and marry this woman strictly because she pleased me sexually. I thought that's what love was. I grew up in a somewhat religious family, I would say. We did go to church on a weekly basis from as young as I could remember. I would say that I didn't really feel I got anything out of it. I felt like it was boring. My dad had an affair outside of marriage and had another kid outside of his marriage. It just seemed so hypocritical. Why would someone that goes to church, profess to be a Christian, do something like that? Is this the way all Christian men were? And my dad made me kind of think that. So I was very confused. It is a maybe 13, 14-year-old. I'm not sure exactly how old I was. I discovered masturbation. And then you find out about pornography, and that made masturbation so much more fun. The problem with masturbation and really the pornography also is that you see videos of not normal relationships. They're doing all kinds of strange sex with strange things, or three-ways, or more people than that. My relationships with women, I would think I should be able to get all that too. That puts a lot of stress on a relationship, because who can satisfy a man that has those kind of cravings? Well, I met a girl in my 11th grade year from El Salvador named Beatrice. She was an exchange student that came there for that year. She came into the class a little late, and I happened to have a spot next to me at the table I sat at, and she sat there. And we grew to be very close that year. I would say I was in love with her. I really felt a strong attraction in my heart to her. And then we departed good friends that year, and we continued to maintain contact always. My first wife, her name was Denise, and we were married when I was 21. I was happy with the way things went. Once we had kids, however, the focus shifted to the kids for her. I felt like I was being neglected, and I was unhappy, especially with our sexual rhythm. I wasn't getting sex enough for me. There was this girl that was at work. I would complain about my marriage, but I didn't really intend to have an affair. It's not like I woke up one day saying I'm going to go have an affair. And one day she just said, if I was your wife, I would have sex with you every night. And I had 2 young children at the time. Inside, I was just simply riddled with guilt. This was a very, very, very strong sexual affair. I thought I was in love with her, and I wanted to have that in my life every day. I wanted to have a woman like that I could be sexual with every day. As my affair with Becky progressed, and I decided I did want to get a divorce, this woman had a family of her own. She had 3 kids. Yeah, that's terrible too, I know. And so I broke up another family. I was just scum. Life with Becky was everything that I had hoped it would be. Her and I in a sexual fest all the time. She started to tell me some things that I had never known before about her. They went into the family restroom, and she ended up giving him oral sex in that restroom. I was asking her, is there more? And then she started telling me about another thing she had done. And these were guys that she hardly even knew. Guys that she just happened to be acquainted with. And then when she was admitting one thing after another, oh my God, I was just so destroyed inside. I didn't know what to do. So I just chose to live with it. But in my eyes, at that point, she wasn't the same girl ever again. Something switched in my brain, and whenever we would have sex from that point on, I would fantasize about her being with these other people. I would actually have the TV on in the background watching some X-rated movie at the same time as we were making love. I would tell my kids the craziest advice. Hey, you know what? It's okay to swear. These are just words. And you know what, kids? You need to have a lot of sexual partners. If you don't try more than one, how do you ever know that it was as good as it could have been? I continued to talk to Beatrice about everything, and I would tell her about things in my life and how I didn't feel good in my heart about these things, and something just wasn't right. And she told me that I needed God. How do you get God? And she said, you just ask him. You just ask him to come into your heart. And I said, God, I need you to come into my life. I'm lost. I don't know what to do. My heart's breaking constantly from the things that were done, and I can't do this anymore on my own power. Chills came all over my body like I had never felt before in my life. It was such a strong electricity that just vibrated throughout my whole body, and I was like, what a fool I've been. You were here all along, and I never asked you, and I just felt so different. Everything just seemed to change like that. It's the best I had ever felt. And I felt like I was walking on clouds. One day I told Becky, look, I had an experience. I asked God to come into my heart, and he did. We started to go to church together. I could tell that I was hungry, very hungry for learning about the Bible. It meant a lot more to me. I was really feeling something when the preacher was up there talking, but I don't think that she felt anything inside her heart. And eventually my marriage ended in divorce. And I was just a new Christian. What did I know? I didn't know anything about what God thought about divorce or anything. I continued to go to church, and I was just amazed at every little thing about it. Calvary Chapel here has had a lot of great things going on all the time, a lot of ministries and things. And one time they had a guy, I remember he started talking about the Bible says, you shouldn't masturbate, and here's why. And he started going through the passages in the Bible that talked about it. He told me to pray to God, for the taking away the desire to do things like that. And I said, God, I don't want to do this anymore. If it's against your will, I'm all yours. I want to please you in everything I do. And I prayed for it, and it was instant. I did not have to masturbate anymore. God has changed me completely with that. In the sexual, not just masturbation, pornography. I don't own any pornography. I went through my house and I cleaned out all the pornography I had. I had a subscription to Playboy magazine. Every video, everything, I just destroyed it all. Beatrice and I started to develop over the internet at first, a romantic interest to get closer and closer together. I always felt the friendship, I always felt the companionship with Beatrice, and I always felt the love for her. And then Beatrice eventually over time came, and we got married right away when she came here from El Salvador, and we were all just bowled over by God in our lives. The difference between a godly family and a worldly family, these kids in my family now are all so good. They all look for answers and advice from me and from God. They go to church every week without complaining. They serve every week without complaining. I think all of us have a sense of wondering, what is life all about, even if we're not with God? Right now, because of coming to the Lord, my life is complete. My life is full. To me, the focus has left the world completely. Anything I can do for God, that's where the true joy comes from. My name is Brannon, and I am changed.